My name is Johannes Michelsen, owner, product developer at Hannes Tool. 7 years in it now. I've been developing a number of new products for the wood turner. My handle, the tri-lobe grip, among them. It was really quite the innovation. It's the only handle that has ergonomic considerations. Your hand is just happier in here. Ergonomics is what it's all about. It also has a collet, which wasn't in the original tools. We had glue in, which we liked because it works really well. But for fixture grinding, jig grinding, you need to be able to remove the steel. It just makes sense. So with each collet handle comes the bench wrench. Just loosen like that and you can pull the steel right out. Makes things quite simple. Now about the fixture, it's called the vector fixture because we have a vector here. And a vector, really the definition of the word vector, is a means to an end, a direction, a purpose, some way to go. And that's what this whole thing does. The multiple pivot points here will become clear what their purpose is when we do it. The tool hold device is very small, lightweight, nimble, easy to handle. It swings full arcs without hitting anything, so you can get the good grind. The curving on the side is one of the things that makes the Michelsen grind the high functioning grind that it is. As long as you have curve on the side, when you were up searching for that sweet spot, getting the perfect cut, as long as the curving side, really a catch is almost impossible. As long as you have bevel to rub, you won't get a catch. So, in order to set projection, to get the good projection, I like a lot more projection than most jig makers will tell you to use. I like 2 3/8. And the reason for that bigger projection is that when you roll over, you get more rollover. If the whole device is held back further from the wheel because of more projection, just naturally when you roll it over, the tool rolls over more. It maintains that 40 degree, 35 degree, whatever you intend it by moving this in and out. Once you're happy with an angle, it will be replicated all around the tool. And those things can be affected by different depth projection here. So the tool hold device goes up against this little pin right here, butts up against there, and then I set this at 2 3/8 from there to there. This is the depth stop, but it's also the flute up device. That little shelf right there on the depth stop will accommodate everything from 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch steel. And the 1/4 inch will naturally tip up and the 3/4 will tip down because it's held higher or lower in this device. But all of that sets the flute up externally out at the tip of the steel, and that's key because if you do it internally, you can't grind all your flute. Once you run out of flat spot in here, you're done. So mine will grind all of the flute on any piece of steel. So, well, we can use the one I got all set up here. And this is the grind we're after. It is a small rubbing bevel, which is far easier to control. Another of the advantages of the Hannes Tool Michelsen Grind. Small rubbing bevel, no heel, much easier to control directionally, and easier to maintain small cuts. And this device will accommodate also the same 1/4 inch up through 3/4 inch steel. And then holding this down against that shelf, up against, tighten this. Now we're good to grind. We have the proper projection, we have our flute up, and if you're lucky enough or smart enough to have these kind of wheels, you're doing well. So for the right hand side of the tool, go to the right hand pivot hole. I like to swing a little past center and then come around lightly, just like that. That gets the right side of the tool. And you're still part of the process. That's why I like to use the word fixture as opposed to jig, because a jig really doesn't need your help. But a fixture, you still have to be part of the process. You watch the edges develop, and you get that good curve, no humps, no bumps, no bird beaks. Don't use the center hole in the back, that's for other kinds of grinds. Secondary grind is done in that single center pivot hole. And while you do this, you can rock back and forth, and as you're rocking over here, you can see the size of the flute or the bevel that you have on the other side. And I look for about a 1/16 of an inch wide rubbing bevel here. And for smaller tools, I do smaller rubbing bevels. So we're good now on this one. Go to the last hole for the back grind all the way up high. That doesn't have to roll back and forth so much. As a matter of fact, if you do, you tend to get little grinds that run down the side of the tool, and we don't need that. So just a little rock and roll up here on the tertiary grind, secondary grind, and that's it. It's so simple, and it's a much better grind than you'll get from other kinds of jigs. It goes back in here. I like to make sure the flute is lined up with the name on the handle when I tighten this, because when I do that, now my hand knows where the flute is because it's all indexed. This is what we call intelligence. If it can communicate, it must be intelligent. So we're really happy about the new Vector grind fixture, and we'd love to send you one. Go to hannestool.com. Get yours today. Thanks.